Hello there, beautiful ladies. I am so excited to announce that I am going to be hosting a 15th of the month masterclass for this Facebook group on a monthly basis. Now, why I'm doing that is because the reason why I'm a midlife health and lifestyle coach is because I have a deep seated belief that midlife women are in an incredibly powerful position. We're here with wisdom that we've accumulated over life experience, with maybe even a sense of urgency for fulfilling our inner purpose. And yet, we show up to this season of life smack dab in the transformation of our body as well. And that takes up so much energy. It can leave us with brain fog. It can leave us with confusion. It can leave us with so many symptoms that are really showing up because our hormones are changing. And I feel as if it's really important to empower you to understand that you can make a difference on how you show up into the world, how you look, how you feel, how you're able to perform by understanding some foundational key health hacks that are very general for anybody to be able to use, but specifically important at this stage of life called midlife, perimenopause, menopause. And so today's masterclass is all about struggling with nagging sugar cravings. When we overcome our sugar cravings, when we step into the ease of releasing that overwhelming desire to consume sugar, then we can really lose weight and have more energy with ease. That's part of the foundation of the midlife metabolism reset for women program that I run. Now, I am going to be able to address a few things here with you today, coming to you because they're commonly asked questions, coming to you because they're super simple things that you can take action steps on. So my first question to you is, do you already try to eat healthy, but then end up feeling like you must have sugar, right? Like the must is either a physical craving, like, oh my gosh, I love that chocolate cake, or at the birthday party, oh, or it might even be an emotional craving, like I am so under stress, I need to have my fix, right? And so that can very easily sabotage weight loss goals and wellness, nutritional shifts that you're looking to make. Did you know that 95% of individuals who go on a new diet plan consider themselves to be failing within the first week? And many times it's mindset work that has been missed, which I love helping people establish a strong foundation for their mindset. But the other major thing that happens is we fall into the comfort food cravings and the physical cravings. So it really leaves us feeling out of control, right? Like the sugar cravings are controlling us. But the reality is, with intentional decisions and a little bit of some shifting, we can really give up the struggle with sugar cravings specifically. It's actually not that hard when you know how to do it. Now, I'm not going to be able to give you every ounce of information today, but I want to cover a couple of key concepts. I'm going to start off with telling you a little bit about me, though. Hey, if we haven't met before, my name is Kim Jakes, and I've worked in the wellness industry since 1999. I'm now a professional midlife health and lifestyle coach. But just like all of you, I wore all the hats. I wear all the hats, right? A professional woman, a mom, a community organizer, like so many different things. And I showed up to midlife caught off guard because honestly, I was eating pretty healthy, home cooked meals, the organic stuff. And I was pretty all set, 20s, 30s. And then it was like late 30s, early 40s. Things were just not okay. Well, I'll let you know that what was really happening is that my understanding of what was sugar and what wasn't sugar was not, I didn't have a full picture on that, right? Like I knew ice cream was sugar. I knew cake was sugar. The sugar they put into the coffee, knew that was sugar. Sure, I might read some labels on the granola bars and know that certain granola bars had more sugar. But I wasn't really putting it all together mathematically and realizing that even though I was eating organic sugar and organic sourdough bread and organic pasta, anything with a carbohydrate was seen by my body as sugar. So I was not realizing that I was over consuming sugar for my body. And as we hit midlife, our body becomes more sugar intolerant. The part of our body we'll talk about in a minute that really regulates the metabolism of sugar in general is called insulin. And if you've ever heard the term insulin resistance, it's very common that as we step into our middle season of life, that our body becomes more and more insulin resistant. Now, that was a real problem because I was a busy mom, which meant I was really busy outside of being a mom. And when I wanted to just have family time, when I wanted to just be a mom, I wanted my family to have connection and like a dopamine rush. Now, dopamine is a hormone that is triggered when we're eating sugar as well, right? So I wanted to make the healthy, organic oatmeal cookies, right, with the organic brown sugar and the flour and the oats. And I would lick the spoon and I would scrape the bowl, right? Because I love cookie dough. And then we'd sit around, we'd watch a movie, we'd enjoy the cookies, and it just felt amazing, right? And so there was ceremony for me built around love and a sugar connection. And then also I was really busy. And that meant I also had a good amount of stress in my life. And so when I was at the office and that plate of cookies or donuts was placed in the employee room, it was so easy to be like, oh my gosh, I am so under stress, nom, 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 and suddenly get a temporary relief. I just knew that if I ate that, I would have some relief from the stress of what was occurring in my world. So those sorts of things are tied into many of our storylines around sugar. The result of my shifting, making the shifts that I talk to my clients about, the result of my making these lifestyle shifts after doing a lot of research and becoming more mindful of my sugar relationship is, even though I had been dieting and it was a struggle to lose 5 pounds, and I would typically gain 4 more the instant I went on a vacation, right? If you've ever experienced that. Even though I was doing that for a couple of years, like struggling with those 5 pounds, when I made these lifestyle shifts that were so easy and were so enjoyable, I accidentally lost 37 pounds and I haven't gained it back, right? I haven't gained it back partly because I love the lifestyle that I'm now leading and my body loves it too. So we're in partnership around having a healthy metabolism. So I started using this process with my clients. What they found is that they were losing weight without dieting. They got back control over their food. They had more energy. They didn't have that crash. They didn't feel the need, capital NEED, for sugar anymore. And it led me to create a couple of programs. One is already completed. It's a 10-day sugar cleanse. It's a whole food cleanse, and it's amazing. It's a lot of fun. And I'll tell you about that at the end. And also, I'm in the process right now of creating a 3-month metabolism reset program for women so that you can walk through the mindset, you can walk through the nutrition, the movement, the stress, the sleep, all the parts of our lives that interact with our metabolism. So my question to you is, what's your story with sugar, right? The emotional aspect of it, the physical aspect of it, the family tradition aspect of it, the holiday aspect of it. So many components to it. What time of day do cravings strike? And what's your go-to sweet treat? Now, normally this is a 1-hour masterclass. I'm not going to cover all of this right now. I'm going to cover a couple of key components. I'm going to let you know what the 7 culprits that make sugar cravings worse and keep you from losing weight. And I'm going to let you know one little known strategy for kicking your sugar cravings to the curb, and that is eating in balance. Plus, I am going to be sharing a few great resources at the end on how you can take this work even further should it resonate with you as well. So, first of all, the 7 culprits making your sugar cravings worse and keeping you from quitting. Number 1, eating too much sugar. So I'm going to show you a visual a little bit later on, but basically eating sugar leads to a spike in blood sugar, and then it leads to a crash, which requires a craving for a spike and then a crash. So it's just a roller coaster. We'll talk about how to bring that into balance. Consuming foods that stall your metabolism, that's really important to know. Things like food intolerances, sometimes they're really tricky and you don't know which ones you have until you go through a process of elimination. Having unbalanced hormones, oh my goodness gracious me, that is midlife, perimenopause, menopause written all over it, right? Not exercising in a way that accelerates fat loss. Our body knows how to burn fat. It's equipped to burn fat. It knows how to do it. We're designed to live with food insecurity, actually, because we store snacks on our hips. I don't know about you. I have some snacks on my hips, on my belly. It's called fat, but it's stored energy. And when our body forgets how to consume that, that's when it becomes a problem. Eating on the go, not having good meals prepped, undiagnosed food sensitivities, and being too stressed out and not getting enough sleep. Stress and not getting enough sleep interact with our hormones in pretty drastic ways. So let's talk about why your cravings are so strong and won't go away, especially as a midlife woman. Now, number 1, remember the number 1 reason why it's hard to quit sugar is because when you're eating so much sugar, you're on those highs and lows. And sugar is hidden everywhere. So many times women will come to me and they'll say, but I'm not eating any sugar. And then we'll look at what they're eating and they'll have their eyes bugged out. So I had no idea I was eating that much sugar. Now, number 1, sugar comes in so many names. So it can be confusing when you're sitting there and looking at food labels and going, well, I'm not really eating any sugar. There's not really any sugar in here. Lots of different things are called sugar. And one of the most addictive forms of sugar is high fructose corn syrup, and that is in so many processed foods. Now, when you read food labels, I want you to know that 4 grams of sugar equals a teaspoon of sugar. Okay. Now, typically, an American woman, a woman in general, I don't know why I said American, but a woman, it's not recommended that we have more than 24 grams of sugar in any given day. Okay. So that's a lot of teaspoons of sugar, but look at how they can come. This bar, a healthy bar, right? The grab and go snack solution that you may have for yourself as you're kind of running from the office to the next activity contains over 3 teaspoons of sugar, folks. This soup, right? It contains high fructose corn syrup. The healthy alternative snack, right? Dried fruits. Dried fruits are more highly concentrated in sugar to begin with because all the moisture is out, right? It's just the sugar that's left. But also, many times there's added sugar on top of it. So, yeah, there's some benefit to eating fruits, but one wouldn't really necessarily think to themselves, well, gosh, this is kind of like a healthy Snickers bar. So there's hidden sugars out there in the world making things worse. And now here's one little known strategy to help you kick your sugar cravings to the curb. And that strategy is learning how to eat in balance. Because you see, anytime we're eating sugar is turned into glucose in our system. And glucose, as it's floating through our veins, insulin, that's a hormone that's produced by the pancreas. It is called on emergency rescue mission because you see, our body doesn't want glucose in our bloodstream. It wants it stored away as quickly as possible. It's like an emergency. So the body calls on insulin and says, get this glucose out of the bloodstream and pack it away where it needs to go. Well, the first place it's going to go is to the cells. And interestingly enough, when the cells say too much, then it has to go find other routes to store. And one of the most popular places where there's unlimited storage capacity is in our fat cells. Okay. Now, as we move to the midlife season of life, our cells are not open for as much glucose storage as they were when we were younger. Okay. Insulin removes excess glucose from the bloodstream like it's an emergency. We have a lot of blood sugar. That's what we call it, right? A lot of blood sugar. And then glucose comes in and removes the sugar from the blood, hopefully putting it into our cells to use as energy. But if it's not needed, then it goes into other places like our fat storage. So when we're not eating a sugar balanced diet, then what happens is we go through these spikes and then dips. It's an emergency. We have too much glucose in our system. It spikes. And then insulin kind of overcompensates. And suddenly we don't have enough glucose in our blood system. So we have a craving for it. And so this roller coaster ride, we're pretty familiar with what that feels like, right? Is really hard on our body. And it actually causes inflammation in our system as well. When our body is inflamed, we gain more weight. But in this case, it's water retention weight and inflammatory weight versus just fat storage weight. So when I talk about eating a balanced approach to a diet, right? A balanced approach would mean not going to the high spikes and not going down to the craving dips. But also I want to talk about it energetically, because when we crave food, it's not always just because of physical need. It's also because of energetic or emotional need as well. So I'm going to talk to you about it from the yin and yang approach, right? We've all seen this yin yang symbol. And it typically talks about integrative balance. Well, we can divide our food, and in Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, we do divide foods into different categories that hold different energies. So it's not just about nutrients and, minerals and macros. It's about the energetic way that we feel when we eat food. Now, yin foods would make you feel expansive. They make you feel kind of maybe even spacey, scattered, lightheaded, happy, right? If you've ever seen a young child on a sugar high, that is a yin food high, right? Because it includes things like alcohol, sugar, coffee, ice cream, candy, soda. All of these things just help us feel expansive. And then there's contracted foods. These are the yang foods. They make you feel kind of like grounded and focused and give you some craft to your body, right? It's like the weightlifter's food. It gives you bulk and strength. Those are foods like cheese, red meats, eggs, and salt. I remember that one. That's a really common craving, isn't it? Either you have a sweet or a salt craving. Those would be the yang foods. Now, what happens is when we are going through life, have you ever felt really like contracted in your world? Like there's not enough time for you, right? Like there's not enough room for your dreams. There's not enough room for your voice. Have you ever felt that way in your family, in your work life, in your friend circle, in your calendar? You open up your calendar and you're like, oh my gosh, where the heck do I put me? That's a feeling of being contracted. It can feel really constrictive or even claustrophobic. When one has that feeling, you know what we crave? A feeling of expansiveness. And so I tell you this just to give you an indication on why we crave sugar, why we crave alcohol, because we can either satisfy that feeling of contraction with eating sugar, or we can satisfy that feeling of contraction by looking at our life and making some changes. Okay. So my intention is that by thinking of this as too much yin or too much yang, too much salt, too much sugar, all those mostly the time, too much sugar, that it can be a cue for us of, instead of just, grab some food to satisfy, it can also be, this is an alarm bell telling me I'm feeling contracted in my world right now. Besides grabbing that sugar, what else could I do? All right. I could eat some balanced foods, number one, because balanced foods will help me to come back to my center. Those balanced foods might be like sweet potatoes or fruits, nuts, seeds, vegetables, beans, grains, fish, poultry, those things that have more sustenance to them and are more balanced energetically. Honestly, though, I'm going to let you know, if I'm feeling really contracted, my first thought is not, I need to go eat a nice salad, right? It's just not. So I do encourage you to stop there and think, why am I feeling this way? Take a moment, breathe, maybe even journal a little bit, call somebody and say, I'm feeling really contracted and I'm thinking I'm going to go grab sugar, but why am I feeling this way? Like, talk it out if you're an extrovert. If you're an introvert, process it inwardly, take a bath. Because ultimately, one of the ways to be able to get off that roller coaster is to allow for you to be consuming more balanced foods and to see that energy roller coaster, not just the physical roller coaster, so that you can hop off the roller coaster. Okay. There are 7 key puzzle pieces to overcoming sugar cravings, though: curbing sugar cravings, eating foods that boost your metabolism, balancing hormones, exercise strategies that accelerate fat loss, meal planning, and quick meal prep strategies, because most of the women I work with are super busy, hidden food sensitivities, and lifestyle factors like sleep and stress. Now, I told you in the beginning that one of the programs that I built, I have been up until now calling it the Whole Food Gourmet Cleanse. And it's all whole food, yummy, super amazing food. There's no like depriving yourself or sacrifice. It's fun exploration of really awesome recipes. And it is completely devoid of sugars and food sensitivities. Remember, those were 2 separate things. So sugars and food sensitivities. So when you're able to kind of cleanse your way out of, experience what it's like to not be eating food sensitivities, not having sugar, then you're able to step outside of or off of that roller coaster and be able to observe with clarity, once you come off the cleanse, what is affecting you most. Okay. Typical results people experience in 10 days, an average of 3 to 5 pounds being lost. Now, for every pound being lost, if it's fat, that's 3,500 calories. This is not only fat loss. This is actually inflammation loss as well. Okay. Because this is taking out the inflammatory agents in our body. It's also cleansing our liver so that our liver can start doing what it knows how to do, which is clean up our body. It helps people say goodbye to cravings, unwanted weight gain, and bloating, feel energized, clear, and confident, and transition into a healthy lifestyle that you can live with, right? And enjoy. Now, this sugar detox, this sugar cleanse, is going to be coming up at the end of July. So you can't even do it right now, but I want you to just earmark it in your mind as something that perhaps you might want to consider. I'll let you know it comes with a guidebook, daily protocols, 2 weeks of meal plans, Facebook support group, kickoff call with me, transition diet, a bonus 30-minute post-detox strategy session, and it is super enjoyable. So thank you for joining me for today's masterclass, 15th of the month. I'll see you again for the next one.